Let's go! We here! Yeah! Welcome back to another Purpose Served podcast episode. I'm your legendary host, Daryl Wingfield. If you're new to the podcast, this podcast is simply about inspiring you to create, to improve and innovate the human experience. And to everybody that has been following the Purpose Served podcast all the way up until this point, much love to y'all, man. I appreciate it, very, very dearly and greatly, and I'm in gratitude to you guys for supporting me. Seriously, it means everything to me. Putting this putting this vibe out there, man. I hope it's affecting y'all to be the best that you can possibly be in whatever it is that you're doing. Today's podcast is going to be about resources. Well, a lack of it, to be quite honest. And the only reason why I brought this up is that I noticed with the things that's going on in my life, what led me up to this point, and also what people are real life currently experiencing right now, and that the lack of the necessary resources to accomplish the goals that people have is it's a lot. It's a lot of people that's in that situation. And for me, with basketball and playing basketball and my whole journey with playing basketball, that was one of the biggest factors, man. Is just not necessarily having the resources that I needed to get what I wanted done. And what I wanted to get done was outrageously playing the NBA. I gotta stop saying that. I don't want that vibe to get put out there where you guys start, I guess, in a sense, limiting yourselves based off of, I guess, that approach. I really want the vibes here is a comfortable space. Yeah, but I want to have Will Smith vibes on. If y'all seen that scene of Pursuit of Happiness, where he's talking to his son at the park, and what did he tell him? He said, "Don't ever let nobody tell you you can't do something. They tell you you can't, you do it." When he said something about playing basketball and choosing something else that's like, I guess, in a more along the lines of realistic. And for those of you that's new to this, and those of you that came to the journey fairly late, those exact words that I just uttered, I don't know if they said that in the movie, but that's what got me into really full-fledged playing basketball, from my 8th grade science teacher telling me that my chances of going to the NBA was slim to none, you know. But that really set me off on that path. Now, while I was on this path, I didn't have the coaches, I didn't have the trainers, I didn't have the support system really needed for me to do what I was embarking on doing. And that caused hella bitterness within me towards the game of basketball, towards anybody that, was in a better situation, a better position than I was. You know, I started hating on people like that, you know what I mean? Like, yo, they lucky as hell that they got their dad as a trainer, or they got coaches there that's like letting them pretty much do whatever, or investing in them and stuff like that. And that hindered me, and that hindered, I wouldn't say that hindered my growth, because for me, it was weird. I used that as a way to fuel myself in a sense where just because I didn't have this, that doesn't mean I wasn't going to get to where I am trying to go. And it made me push myself ridiculously hard, ridiculously hard. But at the same time, I was going through serious, serious ups and downs while going through this process, because it's almost as if when you don't have somebody that's like a mentor that's laying out the groundwork for you, that's letting you know that if you this just so happen to not work out, it's okay. That's a part of it. Just keep going. Just keep going. and you got to figure out, you got to map things out yourself. I rode a lot of extremes a lot where I can go all in at one moment, and then the next moment I'm not going all in. Until I finally committed myself, which was 2018, in the beginning of 2018, to really go all out in the context of playing basketball. But before that point, I didn't really have a roadmap. A lot of things happened accidentally, and it seemed like I necessarily didn't have control over these things. It just things happen, and I just so happened to be there. Like, after I graduated high school, I started playing in men's leagues at around 19. I think it was 19. And I didn't know what men's leagues were. Like, you know what I mean? Older dudes that just trying to play competitively a little bit, but not all too serious. For like a cash prize or something, like, or just to win a championship, just to get a little trophy to get next year's league fees. You don't have to pay for it. But I'm playing the stuff like that. And I'm trying to play college basketball around that time, and that shit is just not working out at all. But eventually, I started understanding that I need to come up with a plan. I need to execute on that plan and not give up when things don't go my way. If I fail or I'm not feeling it, something that I've been talking about here as of late, um, it's just literally the power literally in the unseen, right? I talk about the spiritual nature of things a lot because that's a strong part of purpose served too. It's not just material things like being the best that you're trying to be because of what would be an external thing. Because you trying to get mad girls, you trying to impress people, you trying to nah. Hell no, bruh. This is really about a journey within yourself that literally started before you realized that you was on this journey once you came out the womb, all the way until you either get buried in the ground or get your ass cremated, turned into freaking a pile of ashes, or get your get your body chewed up by maggots. Yeah. Either way, yeah, we're gonna go outside. But all in all, that's what this whole thing is about. Is to from that starting point to that end point that I just said, maximizing your abilities, maximizing the things that's around you, and a lot of those things go to the unseen, you know, and going to resources and how this is going to connect with resources is just that um you must establish internally and externally your needs, you know. And for me, with playing basketball, I needed to first establish where was I at now in this current moment, and what is the distance like to where I'm trying to go, and how can I milestone that? How can I create from A to Z, B C D E F and all of that, and not also in a linear fashion as well to have scapegoats and alternative plans just in case plan A doesn't work, and not necessarily put your all your eggs in one basket. And here in this context, you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. But I'm not necessarily talking about if something don't work, chalk it up and move on to the next thing. You gotta learn how to develop resilience. You gotta learn how to develop perseverance. You have to learn how to develop um what's another word that I'm looking for? Persistence. All of those things means that you're like a salmon swimming upstream. It's going to be kind of difficult at times, and it's not going to be free flowing. But eventually, you're going to reach a point where you are going downstream and you're moving with the flow of where the water is going. And our our feelings and our thoughts work like that. Have you ever seen your emotion when you're angry? You've seen the actions that come from that, but have you seen the emotion itself? Have you seen the thoughts that you have if somebody make you mad and you don't even respond to it in the way that you have in your head? It's unseen. This person don't know what you're thinking. If they're spazzing on you and you want to spaz back and you too much of a punk to spaz on them back, but you're thinking like, you know what I mean, in another alternate universe, yeah. But at the same time, those thoughts is just as real as that person that's talking to you, and can't see what you're thinking about towards this person. You know what I mean? Unless you bring it out there. And in this world, we're surrounded by things that are resources, but once also something that I talk about as well, that it was once a unseen thing, and it was once a thought that somebody had, and they executed on that, and they brought it to life, you know. And a lot of people, not a lot. Like I said, the decent amount of people that I have been talking to as of late, a lot of the things that they're looking to do is because the lack of when they were going up and going through the process, and once they made it over the hump, it's just about finding a way to make it easier for the people that's going to come after them, you know. And for the most part, we're all trailblazers. And what do I mean by that? We're all paving our own way. You know, we're all guiding ourselves in a sense in our own mystical way. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes when we see people that was once in a situation that we was in, the empathy comes out, wanting to help that person and be like, you know what, I've been there, I've done that. Let me try to guide you through that. And for me, playing basketball, that's what it turned into. At first, I wanted to help um, middle school kids and high school kids that was in similar situations in me, where they went out for their basketball team, they tried out for their basketball team, and they eventually got cut. And it didn't play off favoritism, politics, coaches not really paying attention to them and stuff like that. And how can I help somebody like that in that situation? And then I realized that was putting me personally in the box, because all in all, I love basketball a lot. I really, really love basketball. But at the same time, I knew basketball wasn't the end all be all for me, and it wasn't everything. And granted, it did take me, up until the pandemic, March, for everything to shut down for that to happen, and I had to rethink about my life, because at that point, I was I was playing basketball in various places. I think the last place that I played in before that point was Puerto Rico. I was in Aguadilla, and I was training kids, and I'm also working at the gym. So I'm in the gym. My life was the gym 24/7, especially basketball. That's what my life came to. That's what it revolved around. And then out of nowhere, the day the world, I wouldn't say day, the month the world stood still was March of 2020. That literally changed everything for me. And then after that, in January of that year, one of my biggest inspirations, passed away. And my aunt passed away as well. That was a rough year. But Kobe passed away. When Kobe passed away, it threw me for a loop. It really did throw me for a loop, because I talked about it on this all the time. That was my muse. He was a person that I looked to as a source of inspiration, and I felt that he was an artist when it came to what he did. and how he went about doing what he did. It was majestic, man. It was super majestic, and I'm not the only person that he um, had a profound effect on. You know, it was countless amount of people globally, worldwide. But that unintentionally started moving me to a place where I started thinking about what I'm doing now, like currently right now, of what am I trying to do when it's all said and done. And I had this blue notebook where I constantly, um, at the time, it was my college notebook, but I didn't write anything in it in college at all. I had other females writing in my books, but ultimately speaking, when he passed away, I remember writing down in his journal, just talking about how I wanted my next 20 years to be. And actually, as a matter of fact, I am about to go get it and read it to y'all. Literally, give me one moment. I'm gonna be back in point five, yo. And if you're watching this, you will be seeing the legendary Blue Notebook. Okay, we back. Yeah, that may seem like that was like point 0.5 seconds. I accidentally turned my MacBook off, so everything literally just cut off. All right, so this is what I have down in the legendary Blue Notebook. If I could find it, now I can't find it. On January 26th of 2020, which was 4 days ago, I lost my hero and one of my biggest inspirations. Kobe Bryant made me feel like I had to be the best version of myself, and it helped set the tone for what I really want to do in life, which is to give people that same feeling of a sense of purpose that he gave me. It started for me in the eighth grade, wanting to be just like him, but in a Bulls jersey. One day facing off against him. The older that I got, the more I thought I was going to meet him and learn from him in person. I haven't really been able to turn on the TV, go on my phone, or even look around without seeing him somewhere. This is the worst loss I had because of the impact that he had on my life. I'm still devastated. I wouldn't be the person that I am if it wasn't for him. Now I know for sure that more than anything, I'm on the right path and I will achieve greatness. Kobe overcame pretty much any obstacle that stood in his way, and he was always curious and willing to learn. I would never be the same because of this, but with the Mamba mentality, it will force me to grow into the person I was destined to be, on and off the court. God will bless everyone through me on this journey. So that was January 30th of 2020. I did not know I was going to be doing Purpose Served around that time. I did not know that I was even going to be doing a podcast. In fact, literally during the pandemic, that's when I started getting into podcasts in general. Listening to Joe Rogan, somebody who inspired me to make a podcast, my own podcast. Dude, Dan Carlin, I think his name is, um, who do hardcore history. Lex, he has an awesome podcast. But all of these people and the information that I was listening to, or being entertained by, I loved it. But I didn't know around that time that I was going to do a podcast. I never even thought about just making my own podcast. Like a couple of literally September of that year, Steve, shout out to my bro Steve, who I always make the shout out to, who made the brand logo for me. But he gave me the idea to do the podcast, and I didn't know necessarily what my podcast was going to be about because I didn't want it to be about basketball. I didn't want to just solely focus on talking about basketball to basketball players. I felt as though that was putting me in a box, and it was more things that was more important to me than basketball, and it took me a while for me to realize it. But I lack the resources all across the board to manifest this thing that we have here, that we are a part of, that we get the experience. And you have to take inventory of what you have and understand what you need, and don't look at what you don't have in a sense as if you're never going to get it. Simply look at what you don't have as the things that you need, and what are you going to do with the resources that you have right now to get the things that you need, you know? And also, what are you going to do once you get the stuff that you have? The biggest thing is accomplish whatever goal that you have to accomplish, but also in some way, shape, or form give back to the community, give back, give back to the people, because I know that there's people very very similar to me in the similar situations that I got out of, and I'm still currently in, um, that you can possibly help. And right now, what I'm trying to do, that it feels like a pickle that I'm in, is literally in the process of making a creation hub. You know what I mean? Where people have the space to work on their creative ideas, and other people also having the space to help people that's in need. You know, instead of searching and trying to find them, because we have a lot of resources out there. You know, a bunch. Um, to get sidetracked a little bit, I when I was playing basketball, I was looking for an agent. That's another folder I should show you guys. But I had a Manila folder with it stacked like this of paper. God honest truth, and the paper was filled with all agents A through Z anywhere on this planet that I can find them, websites, email address, and even phone numbers. And I reached out to literally every last one of them, and I had to send out over 500 emails in the span of a month. How did I do this? I was working at Planet Fitness, and while working at Planet Fitness, on my downtime, me doing the overnight shifts, I would literally dedicate my time from 10 to 6 o'clock in the morning of gathering that intel that I needed, and also sending it out to who I needed to send it out to. And if you guys could see this, it was only a handful to get back to me. I got 90% no replies, 10% replies, and 5% of those agents that was actually interested in me. You know, so it was a lot, and it was it was mentally draining and exhausting. You know what I mean? And also sitting and waiting on who was going to respond or not, but I wasn't going to be denied. You know, and that's the mindset that you guys gotta have, and people that are in a situation are, if you're in high school, you're most likely facing this situation. If you're a college student, you're most likely facing this situation. If you um, live in a hood, man, you definitely facing this situation, man. If you in the city, you know what I'm saying? That's like that's that's who I'm doing this for, man. That's really who I'm doing this for, is to empower people that don't necessarily get empowered, and also giving them the space to have the resources to create whatever it is that they need to create, or learn whatever it is that they need to learn. That's mad important, like, to me. Like, on the side, I'm a goofball, yo. I clown around a lot. But when it's time to draw that line and it's time to handle business, it's time to handle business. It's time to handle business. And if you lack the resources and you don't have that, handle your business and treat that with the utmost care and the utmost importance and the utmost urgency, because nobody is going to help you. You know what I mean? Unless it's purpose served, then that's different. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't purpose served, if it ain't PS, Yeah, that shit is BS. Bars. Oh, oh. If it ain't PS, it's BS. I'm starting my podcast off like that, yo. If it ain't PS, it's BS. I think we started something. I gotta slap that on the shirt, but I'm giving myself timestamps as of now because I made y'all a lot of promises, a whole bunch of promises, and I haven't fell through with them. You know what I mean? But by this Friday, this Friday, I want to have on my website established where people can be able to promote their business and also individuals put in what the resources that they need that they lack onto the website and be able to connect people's business to the resources that people need. That's what I want to have set up by this Friday. And collaboratively speaking, if you guys were to email me, email is going to be in the description below. And servedpurpose@gmail.com. SERVEDPURPOSE at gmail.com. Email me and tell me the resources that you lack right now that you feel as though you would need. And I will reach back to you and to the best of my ability try to help you with whatever resources that you need and try to help you formulate a plan to get that done. But ultimately speaking, the Purpose Served website is going to be the hub for all of this stuff. And it's about me putting this into action. It's unseen right now. It's in the unseen, but it's very real. It's very, very real. And I always told you guys that I wanted to be the guinea pig for you guys to let you guys know that you guys can get a decent amount of stuff done. You're capable of more than you think. For those that's been here for a while, you heard that message a lot. But imagine you deciding to put your cape on and be the hero that you legit are and going to save the people that need the saving. And it's oftentimes you don't have to go far to do that. Most people do. You know, I don't know if you guys know about the story of Gilgamesh. That's one of the most OG stories in human history about this dude that went on an epic tale, bruh, to go find in medicine for the dying people in his village that he comes from. And then what ends up happening is that he ends up losing the plant that he had to go through water to the deepest part of the water and go through all of these trials and tribulations and face all of these crazy adversities in order to get it just to come back and he don't have it. Only thing he have is the story to tell. And that's the hero's journey, something that I've been talking about overwhelmingly these last couple episodes specifically, but that's been an overwhelming vibe of the podcast. And like I said, we all heroes in our own right. You know what I'm saying? It's just how you look at it. And are you willing to lay this life to save people and help others that need it? It's not, you don't have to do it. Nobody, you don't have to do shit. But at the same time, like I said here, Purpose Served, it's about improving and innovating the human experience. You know what I mean? And we're surrounded by things that's doing that for us as is already right now as we speak. You get what I'm saying? I'm speaking to you guys through things that people created, cultivated, manifested, and I get to use that to help me get my message across to you guys. Now, the goal is for me personally and for Purpose Served speaking for the business is for you guys to do that as well. We are almost at 100 subscribers on YouTube. So if you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to the podcast, go check out the YouTube channel. There's some extra stuff on there that's outside of the podcast that I think you guys would enjoy if you guys enjoy this kind of content. And to those of you that's feeling like you don't have enough, you don't have what you need, you do. change your vision, change how you look at things, and not with the naked eye, but go into the unseen. Check in with yourself first and bring it to life. I believe in you guys, and at the same time, I love you guys as well. If this is your first time you made it this far, I thank you and I appreciate you. And it would mean the world to me if you guys go out and do what you got to do. You know what I mean? Time is only winding down. You know what I mean? You're only getting closer to that day you want to check out and die, to be real harsh, real quick. So this ain't a long time. It's real finite. So live it up to the best of your abilities and inspire people along the way. Um, and that's it. Serving is an action and treat the purpose like it's a goal. Serve your purpose, everybody. Deuces.